This is Johnny, the chubby, Caucasian, Christian, closeted conservative. Some might say I'm everything wrong with the world, but don't take their word for it. Make up your own mind. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Chubby Caucasian Christian Closeted Conservative. I'm going to pick up right where we left off last time. Dan and I are just venting a little bit about COVID, and Dan is about to tell us this story about a guy who wears a lady's underwear as a mask on a plane. I've seen the video. I've posted it on my Facebook. So go to Facebook, search the Chubby Caucasian Christian Closeted Conservative. Posted it about 2 weeks ago. You go ahead, scroll down, find that video, and watch it. It's amazing.
Ladies and gentlemen, from all around the world, thank you for joining us. I would like to prepare you for a controversial conversation.
Pull out this. Hold on, let me get the dirt off this. Here's my mask.
Here's my mask.
You're good to go there.
Yeah.
You know, you see the dude wearing women's underwear on the dang plane?
No, I missed that one.
He got kicked off a plane. He was wearing underwear. He was wearing some woman's. Sorry, let me rephrase. He wasn't wearing some woman's underwear. He clearly brought the woman's underwear, right?
Yes.
And when they asked him to put a mask on the plane, he put on, woman's underwear, and they said, "You have to leave." I don't just. I mean, he was clearly looking to get kicked off the flight and make a big deal out of it. He wanted his 15 minutes of fame. Yeah, clearly, right?
Yes.
You don't bring bright pink underwear with you everywhere, especially that. Like, I mean, the dude was like a bigger dude too, so you're like, yeah, I know you're not wearing that.
Yeah.
But
yeah. When masks were mandated, I was at like the grocery store one time. There's this like gigantic dude, and I'm not talking about like overweight. He was a little overweight, but also like tall, just like a big dude, not wearing a mask at all. No one said anything to him. I think I like had my mask below my nose. I'm not one of the below the mask nose guys, but I think I was helping my son with something, and I think it fell below my nose, and someone asked me to pull it up. Meanwhile, the big old dude, no one is going to say anything to him. Another thing, too, that's a little sad is my current president, Joe Biden, shut down the virus, not shut down the economy and everything. Obviously, the science has changed. He's not really held that up. We can have that conversation if you believe Omicron caught him off guard. And, we didn't have enough tests. We didn't have enough PPE, all that stuff. I just want to let all the liberal Larrys and Lindas, everybody know, I am reading a U.S. Sun article, the U.S. Sun article. There is a new variant. They identified it in Cyprus, Egypt. They call it Delta Cron due to the identification of Omicron-like genetic signatures with the Delta genomes. Okay? So
hold on.
Now, so I just want to give everybody a heads up that there is another variant, and I would like, Operation Warp Speed. The libs don't like to talk about it now. They like to make fun of it then, but, it did produce a vaccine that now I am being forced to take, that people want to mandate me to take. And I just want to encourage, since there might be another variant coming, I eventually believe, not a doctor, not a scientist, I eventually believe we're going to have another variant, but there is one that was just identified in Cyprus January 9th. So I would just like to encourage my president to start some sort of Operation Warp Speed, maybe for N95 masks. It'd be nice to be able to get a test.
Hold on. My mom sent me a link to get COVID test.
Yes.
And I heard on the news this morning, because I listened to, there's a radio station from when I was back in Virginia that I just like, and they're funny. But they are releasing the National Strategic Stockpile of masks, so you can too get a new mask.
Okay. Okay.
I'm
So
the
I just, I mean, I understand that we put a travel ban on South Africa because of Omicron, and then it caught us off guard when it got here. So I don't want anybody to be caught off guard by Deltacron. Okay.
I feel like you're trying to bait me with this whole like because I see what you're doing, right? Because we'll go into this real quick.
Yes.
The whole at the beginning it was 2 weeks,
Yes.
stay home, slow the spread, so hospitals have time to say prepare.
Yes. Now, one thing, my wife was the individual who was ordering groceries on Instacart while staying home and saying that she was doing her part to flatten the curve. I was like, no, you're forcing someone else to go to the grocery store instead of you. So sorry. Go ahead. 15 days to flatten the curve.
I was so happy to stay home from work for 14 days. You know, it was great. I got to work from home. I get, relax, wear comfy pants, wear comfy hoodies. I love it. Right. But 2 years.
2 years.
2 years, John.
2 years.
2 years.
2 years.
And this is the best part. This is the best part. They're still not prepared.
They're still not. Still not prepared. Now,
you know what? I mean, and so I actually, because I talked to my mom about this and it blew my mind, right? Back when I was in the military, you had contingency plans. I'm sure we probably still do have contingency plans, right? If some country invades another country, there's probably a contingency plan.
Yes.
I said, wouldn't hospitals, since, hospitals are medical, wouldn't they have contingency plans for a global pandemic? It's not like anything happened like this in, I don't know, let's say 1920 or anything.
Yes,
like that,
yes.
Or, 2008 or 2006, like bird flu, avian flu, or
Ebola.
swine flu, Ebola.
Yeah.
I would feel that would be like, hey, if we have a big pandemic and a lot of people get sick, we're going to set up a tent over in this area. We'll have this, and we can have dividers and boom, 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 boom. I feel like that's part of the hospital planning, right? I mean, you want like how many zombie movies start with like, but at least in the zombie movies, they have like you see medical tents. It looks like the hospitals were at least somewhat prepared. Like, well, we set up this whole quarantine area for all the people that somehow got this mysterious zombie disease, right? We can't do that right now.
Yes. Now, Dan, you're not saying the vaccine is going to make you a zombie, right?
I'm not saying no. I'm just saying I'm talking about zombie movies.
Okay, you're just talking.
Like I Am Legend. It's great.
Yes.
Right. If you look at it, like I love zombie movies. They're great. But like it seems like the hospitals are very prepared. They send up like whole quarantine areas. And my favorite part is because like I said, used to do military stuff. Is I love like looking at the soldiers and like, man, that person would hate doing this. Oh, no way they would have this stuff set up. Like, come on, right?
Yeah.
They're too efficient. They're way too efficient, right? They have the whole tents and they have the whole areas and everything set up. Like, you're telling me no hospital in the country has that, like no capability to do something like that. Right? You're complaining about not having enough ICU beds. Well, what have you been doing? No, you've been on dang TikTok for the last 2 years, making dance videos, right? That's what they've been doing. You see them. And then they've been going to protest. Why is a doctor going to a protest? You say you work
too hard.
And then you go to a protest. When I work to exhaustion, you know what I do? Sleep. Right?
Yes.
I'm exhausted. I'm asleep. I'm not kidding. You know what? I just was in the hospital for 48 hours straight. Yeah, I'm going to go to that protest down the road. Heck no. I don't even care if they're giving out like free hamburgers at the dang protest. I ain't going if I'm exhausted. I might get free hamburger. I love hamburger.
Yeah. Now, Dan, you brought up the whole thing about giving up 2 years. My philosophy, the beginning of 2022, New Year's Day, my mindset has changed. I've given up 2 years. Not given up, but I have kind of sacrificed a lot of stuff for 2 years to try to help this whole COVID thing. The average life expectancy of a male is what, like 75?
76,
70, something like that? Okay. And I've given up 2 years. Okay. I'm ready to move on. When does it get to a point where me sacrificing experiences in my life, the hurt to the economy, people losing their jobs, when does that kind of begin to balance the risks. There's pros and cons to everything. So when do those pros? I would think those are pros. Me going to birthday parties, having birthday parties, celebrating Christmas with a family. Yes, people having jobs. People are getting let go of jobs because they don't get the vaccine, and the economy. Definitely, there's no way that you can't tell me that COVID has not hurt the economy. When do those pros outweigh cons?
And so that's the thing. We all live in a risk-based society, right? You saw that movie Million Ways to Die in the West, right?
No, I never saw it.
Oh, Seth MacFarlane.
Yeah.
It's hilarious because they keep talking about all the different ways you can die in the West.
Mm-hmm.
But did that stop people from going out and living life? No.
Yeah.
You still went out.
Mm-hmm.
We all have a time, and that's going to be it. We can't just live our life in fear because, if you say, okay, well, I don't want to go out because of COVID. Well, all right, well, why do people in Australia go out? They have like snakes, spiders, and everything else that wants to kill them, right?
Yeah.
So should they stay home because, well, they might get hit by a snake, right?
Yeah.
We say the same thing with like drunk drivers.
Yep.
I'm not going to stop my car. I'm not going to stop driving
because
a drunk driver might be driving.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm accepting the risk, and that's where it comes down to this personal responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
You have to take personal responsibility. You have to decide what's right for you.
Mm-hmm.
If you are so scared of COVID, it is the scariest thing for you. Get a respirator, get a bubble.
Yeah.
I don't care.
Yes.
Right? Do what you need to do if you want to go out to society.
Mm-hmm.
But if I say, you know what, I've looked at it. Maybe I even had it, right? Because I don't even know. Who knows at this point,
mm-hmm.
right? Everyone at my work has gotten it.
Mm-hmm.
If I say, you know what, I'm good, or if I say I got vaccinated, I feel fine. I'm gonna take this risk. I'm not endangering anybody else. Never in the history of vaccines have they said, hey, if you don't get this polio vaccine,
yes,
little Timmy down the street is gonna die. It's I know. Let's caveat because everyone's gonna say, well, what about the immunocompromised?
Yes.
Yep. There are immunocompromised. They have to take their own precautions, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Right.
Yeah.
But the immunocompromised are also worried about everything else as well.
Yeah, like they weren't at risk before COVID.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
They're worried about just the common cold, about flu.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you have to make personal choices at this point.
Mm-hmm.
If I go to the store, I don't like wearing a mask. I'm not going to wear a mask.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's silly. If people are going to ask me to put on a mask in the store and I happen to have a mask, maybe I'll put it on. Right?
Dan, yeah.
Whatever.
I keep one on me, and I was actually at someone's house, and they asked me to put on a mask. Didn't even argue. I just put it on. But masks are not mandated right now in my area. I don't feel like it does anything. I've read things that say if you're not wearing an N95, that was a CNN article just recently published that will be on my Facebook, where it talked about that cloth masks really don't do a whole lot. I've watched like 2 or 3 videos of individuals like vaping through the masks and how much vape comes out of it. I posted that on my Facebook and my Tumblr page last week. I encourage you to go and watch it. But there's one where the guy's just like vaping through the mask, and it's interesting like where it comes out of. Like, all the vape comes out of the sides or like up into his eyes or below. There's some masks that do a very good job where it does not come through the front of the mask, but they're cloth masks that one of the first masks that he wears, it comes right through. There's hardly anything that's like sent off to the side.
And that's the thing, right? If it's saying the mask needs to be this, then I can say, all right. Concerted effort.
Yes,
I understand it.
But if they were to mandate those masks now, they'd be sold out of the store, and you really should. They're not reusable. You really should use one every time.
You should. Right?
Yes.
Like you can't just use this thing for and that's the thing. They're not going to. I think they originally said you're supposed to throw it out. Then when people started reusing, no one criticizes you if you're using a dirty mask, and you can tell. Like the surgical mask. Mm-hmm. I've worn some so many times that when I haven't shaved for a while, I start to get stubble. I end up start choking on the particles that are on the mask on the inside of it. Like, oh man, I think it's time to change my mask.
Yeah.
Right? There's no consistency. I think that's what I think a lot of Americans are just upset with is if there was consistency, hey, you need to go buy these masks and yep, you need to use a new one every single time. Mm-hmm. Oh, why? Well, here's why. And it needs to fit properly. Now, you can't enforce that on a nation.
Correct.
30 million people, you cannot enforce that, right?
Yes.
And I think that's kind of the way our country is, just society wise, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Chinese and not necessarily Chinese, some of the Asian cultures, they're very concerned. Like Japan's like one of them. You have
Mm-hmm.
a slight cough, they've had them in their homes,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And they're gonna put it on. And
Mm-hmm.
theirs fit properly. It's not a standard, like it's not the toilet paper mask or underwear mask.
Yeah.
It's that N95 mask that they have at home.
Yes.
This is what I'm putting on, and I'm going to wear it. They don't touch their face. They're respectful.
Yes.
That's their culture.
And one of the scariest things that they did during this COVID thing, it scared the bejesus out of me, was when they shut down some churches. I mean, that is scary. I mean, when does it get to the point where it's like, well, we really shouldn't open churches again because it's not necessary? Like schools, hopefully we can argue that schools, some schools are kind of necessary or should be open. Hospitals, of course, they should be open. People's places of employment. But when is like, well, a church, like people just gather here. There's few jobs that are created by each individual church, and therefore, like, the risks don't outweigh the reward because they don't take in the spiritual part of it. They just say, due to COVID, we can't keep you open.
A lot of those restrictions. It's funny that churches got restricted because I ride a bike, right? I don't know if I've said that. When this was first happening, I'm like, all these places are shut down. I called my local bike shop. I'm like, hey, are you guys gonna be open? Like, what's going on? And like, oh yeah, we're open. I'm like, how? They're shutting down non-essential. Oh no, we're essential. Like, all right. I mean, I love biking. It's essential for me.
Yeah.
How are you essential? Let's be honest.
Yeah.
Out of the box, right?
Uh-huh.
Well, it's technically a mode of transportation for some people, so therefore it's essential.
Okay.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I'm not going to complain because I can go to the bike store and get my stuff, what I need from my bike, right? Mm-hmm. But like, you see, like the definition of essential was so vague. But then, like, you know what? This is essential for my soul, or something like that. And it's like, no, that's not essential.
Yeah,
yeah. But the REI selling camping gear and bicycles is essential.
They didn't shut down CBD or any marijuana manufacturing. I mean, that was
the
casinos, strip clubs.
I mean,
Dwayne Haskins. How many strip clubs did he go to during COVID? So that was another thing too. I got into a conversation with a liberal Larry, and we were talking about the vaccine, and of course, he believed that everybody should get vaccine. There's no reason why, and I was actually being lectured to, and I asked him.
Wow, wait, a liberal Larry lectured you? Nah.
Yes. On my freedoms, my freedoms, what I should do, what I shouldn't do, and of course, I like to ask questions, and I know that is frowned upon, but I like to ask questions. So this was right when the vaccine had came out, and Lamar Jackson, he's quarterback of the Baltimore Ravens, was diagnosed with COVID again after saying that he did or did not get vaccinated. I don't remember. But anyhow, I asked this liberal Larry, did he get vaccinated? And they didn't know. And I said, well, he caught COVID. And I went on after I had been preached to for about 20 minutes to tell me that, well, maybe athletes should have an exclusion because, the vaccine can make your heart grow, or, and so he was allowed an exemption. Yes. Now, I really wanted to ask the question of race because this liberal Larry that I was discussing this with was a minority, and so was Lamar Jackson. So I really wanted to know if there was like a cultural thing why we were giving him an exemption and myself was not. But I guess all my athletic dreams are, if you got the vaccine, all your athletic dreams are down the drain because, your heart grew or swelled up, and, that's bad for the NFL.
Let's just be honest. I can't. I mean, some of them are not the picture perfect of health, especially with all the dang concussions, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And injuries, which, like I said, I think some of those injuries would put me on my butt for a bunch of days. Meanwhile, these people are back out playing football, maybe in another quarter or another half.
Yes.
I can't imagine tearing my ACL. I think that would. I don't. You just see me like, just cut the leg off. It ain't happening. We ain't doing this, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know if it was culture or anything like that. He's gonna say, well, maybe athletes shouldn't have to do it.
Yeah.
But you start saying, okay, well, we're not athletes. Well, I have high blood pressure. Should
Yeah.
I do, because I can't have my heart swelling because you
Mm-hmm.
and I'm out, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, when you start asking, well, what about this person? What about these people? What about these people? That's the biggest argument of the whole thing is you can't mandate this for everybody. It
Yes.
should be a personal conversation between
Which
the doctor and
we've had
yourself.
liberals say that they shouldn't be mandated.
Because if we start mandating anything like that, right, and that this kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so now we say, okay, well, this is good for you. So you know what? Let's start. A lot of people die of heart disease, or a lot of people die of obesity. All right,
Mm-hmm.
so we're going to mandate you can't have McDonald's every night, or more than once a week. Okay?
Yeah.
So then you get your McDonald's card. If you go to McDonald's more than once, you go to McDonald's to show your McDonald's card. Say, I can only get this once a week, or your fast food card, right?
Yeah.
Or my pizza card. So
Mm-hmm.
like you need to go get fruit and vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
Where do you draw the line of taking care of the people? It's not the government's job, right? And that's what we were talking earlier with the drugs and everything like that. I personally, if you want to use whatever drugs you want, knock yourself out as long as you're not endangering other people, because that's where I draw the line. You can't endanger other people, and you're doing it in a safe place.
Mm-hmm.
But if you go and use it, and then you're relying on the government or something like that to give you like Narcan because you're ODing, why? You're the one who used it.
Yes.
Because at the end of the day, the government's paying for it, right?
Yes.
The government's paying for the vaccines. The government's paying for everything.
Mm-hmm.
So why am I the taxpayer, because I'm ultimately going to be paying paying for Narcan for the guy who OD'd 5 times and is going in and he's going to OD again this time? Why? So I have to pay for that, but I can't say like I don't want a vaccine. It doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Why do we let Asian females drive? Should we bump up their insurance? Their car insurance? I just got kicked off.
It was a family. Let's just say you were referencing Family Guy because that was a funny. Right.
So yeah, I have a lot of trouble seeing, and I think the Supreme Court kind of showed this, that it cannot be mandated. You can't force it on people.
But they said through OSHA, right?
Yes.
Because they said Health and Human Services can mandate it for healthcare workers.
Mm-hmm.
And now we can have a debate on like, well, maybe healthcare workers should have stricter requirements.
Yes.
Right. But the DOD did it for the military, and they're kicking out people in the military for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Right?
They're kicking out of people of local government jobs too, who didn't.
Local government jobs and everything like
that. I had a family member who did that. Actually, it's the same family member who painted my eagle, and she's going through some financial trouble right now. So, if you like any of her artwork, she's very talented. A lot of beautiful artwork. Please go to her Redbubble account. Support her. Robin N. Brown. Robin as the bird, N as the letter, and Brown as the color on Redbubble. Beautiful. Conservative, Christian. She has this beautiful piece of Jesus with the crown of thorns. It's awesome. So sorry to cut you off. Local governments, the military, they let people go.
Military's letting people go, and I don't think people are going to really see the effect of that until later on, because it's easy to kick out, Seaman Timmy who showed up, or Private Timmy who showed up 2 days ago into the military and they don't want to they don't want to be in. But the people that have been in 14, 15 years, you don't just kick them out instantly. And that requirement was in November, so you're going to start seeing a bigger attrition in the military, right? And we're kicking these people out,
and that's why I believe the conversation of you have to get vaccinated or you don't have to get vaccinated is over. I mean, these military people have sacrificed, their retirements.
Yeah.
I mean, some of them are close to getting out, and they have felt so strongly about not getting vaccinated that they have given up their retirements.
Where do we draw the line, right?
Yes.
And it comes down to personal responsibility, right? I know back in the day, the military made you get the flu shot, and I hated getting the flu shot, but they did the nasal one, so they sprayed up your nose so you could walk out the door and then blow your nose. Yeah. Don't blow your nose. Oh, I know what I'm doing as soon as I get out of the side. That's how you're saying.
Yeah.
Blow my nose. You can make an. I could see you can make an argument for the military, but once again, certain vaccines, tried, true, and tested, over the years of viruses that are stable, right? The polio vaccine, the polio virus doesn't mutate like COVID.
Yeah.
Right? It's a new virus.
Yep.
Right? It's not
and we're still learning about it, which I completely understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
So I will give you grace on still learning about it, but please give individuals who don't want to get the vaccine, give them a little grace because they're still learning about it. They're worried about you still learning about it. And my biggest argument, the hill I will die on, is that this should not be federally mandated. We can have conversations about local governments, even smaller, like companies of company, we can have that conversation. I don't know if I fully agree with it. I'd like to learn a little bit more. I'd actually like to have that conversation with somebody. But when it comes to a federal mandate, a one size fits all medicine for everybody, no matter what.
I'll play the devil's advocate on that because I would actually have no problem if a local government said this is what we want to do, or a business said this is what we want to do, right? If they said, and because if you look at the Constitution, the 10th Amendment, any powers not specifically listed for the government, federal government, is given to the state. So and that's how it should be. If California wants to say we're requiring everyone coming in to show proof of vaccination, the people of California voted for their politicians and they agree with this. Then let the government do that. I have no problem with that. And if you want me to go to smaller communities, that was the whole purpose. Republic or wherever you want to call it, right? But if it's a local thing, and I in my little local community here says, you know what, we want to make sure that we wear masks in our local stores and do that. Yeah, that's the whole point. This is what my community has said. We have all come together and said, you know what, this is what we want for our community, right? So if it's mandated at the local level, I don't even think there would be a discussion. That's a local thing.
Yes.
Right. But I don't want California to influence my locality. Right. Yes. I don't need them.
And one of the scariest things too is Dr. Fauci, who is an appointed individual, not voted highest paid government official. The man has a lot of power. I would go as far as to say as his word is law and has been for 2 or 3 years. This is the same guy who had, spread misinformation about AIDS, who has had things wrong about COVID, not once, not twice, but repeatedly. There's no checks and balance that we can have on him, and now he's going to mandate this or suggest a mandate on this. Just like a doctor, and any doctor is going to play it cautious. I got a little chubby, chubby Caucasian Christian classic conservative. If I were to go to my doctor, of course he's going to say, you know what, John, you could lose 10 pounds or whatever, Of course he's going to say that, and then I have that decision, lose that weight or not.
I said, you have personal choice in local. I have no problem with local governments doing whatever they want. That's the whole purpose. And the idea is if you don't like it where you live, you move to some place to do.
Yep.
My favorite argument is, people just can't move. Moving today is so easy.
Yes.
Is it inconvenient? Yep.
Yes.
It is. You have to find a new job, you have to find a house and everything like that.
But you would vote, if they started doing that locally, you would vote with an actual vote for your local officials and with your wallet, because you could move out of that community. You could move out of that state.
And you could also have the opportunity to interact with your own neighbors and talk to them and convince them to I understand we wanted this, but why do you want this? And then you can have conversations with people that you might disagree with, and you might pull them over to your side, or they might pull you over to their side. They might say, hey, look, I understand we live in an older community, a lot of people here, so you know what? It takes nothing to throw on a mask. So we're gonna just do it around the community, and we'll deliver groceries to the Smiths.
We did something similar. I went down to visit my parents the day after Thanksgiving. We went to a Christmas tree lighting ceremony, and someone who lives in the town, my dad has a very close friend who has cancer right now. We're very worried about COVID. I was with a group of people. There was a mix of vaccinated, unvaccinated individuals, and all of us combined just decided we were going to stand on the street, on the sidewalk, and wave, because they already said that they weren't going to go to the Christmas tree lighting, but we loved them and we wanted to see them, so they stood out on the front porch. We went. They didn't say that to us. They didn't say that to me. I made that decision. I was like, you know what? I really don't feel comfortable going in there, even if you're vaccinated, not unvaccinated, even if I was wearing a mask. I got that individual COVID, I would never live it down. So I made the decision to stay on the street and, hi, how are you?
And it's personal. It all comes down to personal choice.
Yes.
I don't know if I ever told you this. So right after I was graduating college, the girl I was dating at the time, she came down with mono. So, it's kind of contagious.
Yes.
Right? I didn't get it.
Yeah.
The same. But I wanted to go see my buddy's wedding, and I knew my buddy was going to something where if he got mono, he might get disqualified. So I told her, like, hey, look, I would like you to be my date to the wedding. However, I don't want to put him at risk. So, I'm not going to come see you prior to, and I don't want you to come right now because you're sick, with mono. And, it takes a while to recover. I mean, she was mad at me, bro. With it. Yeah. But I was worried about my friend. I made that decision, and I could have told him. I didn't need to tell him because I'm sure if I told him, he would say, hey, no, she can't come. I said, you know what? I had the invite, and I'm going to say I can invite, if I want to have you as my date or not.
All right, Dan. Well, it's been a pleasure having you here. I appreciate you talking to me about COVID. I hope this was therapeutic for you.
I swear, if I see one of those commercials, I'm just going to drink another beer.
Yeah. So I appreciated the text. It made me laugh. And I immediately turned to my wife and I was like, I got to get him on the show to talk about it because obviously it's fired up. And this is the whole reason I started this is because I live in a radical blue state near a radical blue city. And I can't have an adult conversation with any of these individuals around here. A lot of them get angry. And so I started this so that I could maturely talk into the microphone and get out my emotions. So when I come across a liberal Larry and Linda, I can ask the questions and, be sarcastic and not get too involved in it. Like, oh, I thought they all were vaccinated. Because if you're vaccinated and wearing masks,
social distancing, did they follow the stickers on the at the grocery store? My favorite is the face shield. I'm sorry.
The face shield. Once again, Dan and I are not doctors. Not doctors. No, we're not going to judge you if you wear them.
I watched all the seasons of Scrub.
I have no judgment if you wear a mask or don't wear a mask. I have no judgment whether you've been vaccinated or not been vaccinated. I just don't want to hold you down and vaccinate you or force a mask on you. And when it comes to myself and my 2-year-old, I really don't want to force a vaccine on me or him. But Dan, I appreciate you having you on, and I thank you. You're a great friend, and I love doing this with you. A lot of material. It's great. So thank you for everything.
Sounds great, man. Happy to be there.
Thank you to everyone for joining us today. Thank you again, Dan. It's always a pleasure having you on. People, I am everywhere now. I am on Rumble. I'm on BitChute. I am on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. Please look up my social media sites. I'm on Tumblr now. I'm on Minds and Facebook. So just search the Chubby Caucasian Christian Closeted Conservative. Look for my eagle. I had a family member paint that eagle, and I loved it so much that she gave me the original. She's having some hard times right now. So all I'm asking is you go check out her Redbubble account. Go to Redbubble, search Robin N. Brown. There's also a link to her Redbubble page in my description. Just check it out. She's conservative, loves the Lord, lots of beautiful artwork, and we will see you later.